stifling the opposition as the regime is now in trying to stifle the opposition, and being as aggressive as they are, at what point in time does a peaceful means of change become non-effective? Because it seems, I think peace is always the greatest alternative, but seeing what's happening over there, it doesn't seem as if there is any sense of compassion in the government's eyes towards their people. And I'm wondering if there is any type of organization, if people are taking any movement towards, forming, militarily forming some type of movement to try to, create their own army in a sense, because every night they go out and they protest, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do what they're doing. But they go home and they're alone, and it sounds like the Basij is targeting these people. They're following them home, they're figuring out who they are, and then they're removing them from their homes. And what type of protection are they trying to create for themselves to prevent this from happening? Because when you go home and you're in your home alone, who's there to protect you? Unless people are organizing and trying to protect themselves. And I'm wondering if there's anything like that's happening over there. And what we can do here to try to, maybe help people over there, become more organized in that sense. Staying together instead of going home alone, staying together, create, large numbers. It's those numbers that give power. And when you go home and you lessen your numbers, what are you left with? I'll take my question.
I think that would cause civil war if people try to, if I understand correctly your question, that you mentioned to some sort of military action or armed resistance. At least people who associated with the Green Revolution, they do not think right now to armed resistance or something like that. Although there are many armed groups in Balochistan, Iran's Balochistan, that they unfortunately targeted people of Iran, like bombing a mosque last month. These one things. Also, I think non-violent movement has a great opportunity and capacity right now to organize and to make more resistance inside Iran, which is when you think to armed resistance, that non-violent resistance do not have enough capacity to bring change, which is, I don't see such a situation right now in Iran. So a candidate and political leaders right now committed themselves to non-violent resistance and movement and armed group. With armed group, the government would crack down more than right now.
At the end of the Iraq War, thousands of dissidents were executed in prisons. And I think the person who asked the question wanted to learn who was the prime minister at the time.
Who was the prime minister at the time?
Did you know?
I would say, I would answer, it's condemning those execution. I think everybody would condemn, but I would say, I would quote it just from the Ayatollah Muntaziri, who was vice deputy of the supreme leader of the time. He mentioned at his memorial and also at interview with the radio Zamane, he mentioned that even the president of the time, which was the current leader of the time, Ayatollah Khamenei, he didn't know about that mess. That was, I would say this, the revolutionary leader was in charge of that one. I don't think so. Although Mousavi was the prime minister, he wasn't in charge. Even the judiciary head of the time wrote a letter to the revolutionary leader that some of those people have a court verdict, how we should go to execute them. And that is something that nobody would accept right now, that one. Even I want to mention during the Khatami presidency, before exactly in 1998 or 1999, many elites were killed at their home by the security ministry that Khatami was in charge as a president. And Khatami didn't know. They didn't also coordinate with Khatami. Then when Khatami learned about that issue, he changed the security ministry. What we have seen in the country, sort of unacceptable actions by part of government or by part of military, or they would call themselves as a shadow government. They do some sort of action and they are not accountable for their action, and I think learning about that massive execution needs particular meeting to explain what's happened, and I don't want to mix that event with current green revolution. And right now we have a green revolution in the country, and we need to support this green revolution. And the UN used those limited power to make pressure on Iran. Iran signed many conventions. Iran has a responsibility for those conventions. First of all, as a long term, the United Nations needs to amend some procedure to make black dictators in oppressing their citizens. But right now, at least the United Nations can send delegates to the country to monitor human rights violation, or even I think the situation is so critical that the United Nations Secretary General must go to visit the country and to sit and negotiate with the leader to end this violation in the country. And this would be helpful.